Everybody. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Kamala Con. As you know, the Kamala Harris campaign raised well over $1 billion. Estimates go as high as well over $1.5 billion was raised by this campaign and blown and spent with, as we know, nothing to show for it of any consequence. Now, I've stated in many videos, and I've stated it since well into the beginning of the year, a good long while ago, that I believed, and the fundamentals show there was no path to 270 for any Democrat this cycle. History has proven that to be correct, but that didn't stop the Democrats from taking a whole crap load of money from a whole lot of people and being absolutely just blew it. Now, there are people now that are multimillionaires thanks purely to this campaign. They milked these fools for everything they could. And Kamala was an incompetent boob. She just is. She is incompetent. She is just the fact that this is how the campaign went down alone shows you the right person won the election, whether you like Donald Trump or not. Kamala Harris showed once more how utterly inept and incompetent she is. I, it's insane what has gone on here, uh, and it's even more insane that people continue to try to tell the lie that Kamala ran a flawless campaign. $1.5 billion, wound up in debt, nothing to show for it, and now she really believes that she's got a future in politics. I've already did a video about that. She's got Beto O'Rourke syndrome. She actually thinks she's going to come back and run president again because she thinks she was something, not understanding that she's just a suit. She was just a empty suit. She was a seat filler. People didn't vote for her. They voted against Donald Trump. She had no excitement, no anything. It was a created campaign. This campaign boiled down to one simple thing: fight, fight, fight versus fake, fake, fake. I mean, it's no more difficult than that. Donald Trump gets shot in the ear, jumps up, puts his pumps his fist in the air, and fight, fight, fight. And then he's competing against the Kamala campaign, which was complete fakery from top to bottom, a long con. You could not have asked for better patsies than the Democratic donors who were willingly throwing money at a lost cause. And the people around it, the pariahs around these people, no, not pariahs, sorry, the leeches around these people sucked every dollar into their back pocket they could get. Now I'm going to show a couple videos here. This is a lady named Lindy Lee. She is a Democrat. She was hardcore. Since the election, she has come out and been very, very vocal against the Kamala campaign, their financial handling, all of this. Uh, but before that, you can see her on election night. They actually interviewed her on election night, going, "We're going to win, yada yada yada," and she has definitely come out through. So let's see what she has to say.
It was just startling how there was no sense of responsibility. No one assumed any accountability for what happened. They essentially set $2 billion on fire in 100 days. And a lot of people pour their hearts and souls into the effort to do everything they could to help Kamala Harris win. And no one answered any questions about why millions of dollars were spent on star-studded concerts, celebrities. $2.5 million went to Oprah's production company. Oprah very well could have made an in-kind contribution and cover the production costs and her employee's salary herself, but she decided to take payment from the campaign instead. And also, we learned recently that $500,000 was given to Al Sharpton just shortly before he interviewed Kamala Harris. So there's a lot of conflict of interest here, and we need a careful accounting and probably more granular than the FEC report would offer. So somebody needs to carefully explain why they decided to, for example, spend $900,000 on the sphere. Because if we don't do that, how are voters and donors ever going to trust the Democratic Party again?
Do you think
And they shouldn't. This is how they treat your tax money every day, folks. You just get exposed to it more here because it's wide open. Let's talk about the Call Her Daddy uh, podcast. Kamala won the Call Her Daddy contest. They apparently claimed to have spent $100,000 on a set because it wasn't actually at this is the blogger being or whatever influencer, whatever they call these people. She's being interviewed about this interview. It wasn't actually done in her studio. They built a fake studio somewhere else, and that's where this podcast actually happened. And they spent $100,000 on cardboard. So let's see. What does she have to say about that?
Meaning, the Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see
you
that.
know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
Yeah, that's not true.
Not true. To make it look like it was the studio that you used in LA.
My studio that is gorgeous in Los Angeles doesn't even cost six figures. So I don't know how cardboard walls could cost six figures, but.
But do you think they did that? I mean, you saw
Absolutely not. With love to them. Oh my God, it was gorgeous, but like, it wasn't that nice.
Okay, so she's saying they didn't spend $100,000 on it, and it was cardboard. I would suggest to you, I agree it was cardboard. It didn't cost $100,000, and they charged them $100,000, and they paid it because they were absolutely responsible. We'll see if there's any kind of audit of this campaign ever happens. I highly doubt it. But this is what happens when you put your faith in con men. And the Democrats, liars. They're just con men. The entire Kamala campaign was a con from the start. There was no path for her. There was no chance she was going to win this. But they couldn't ever say that, and they convinced a bunch of people to throw lots of money. There's no difference between what Kamala and the Democrats did in this campaign and what Jerry Falwell was doing. Not a damn bit of difference. Just a bunch of rubes God had. And they knew it. Let's talk about this guy. This guy's a big donor, and he was interviewed on News Nation as well. And he had a few interesting things to say. Let's see what he's got to say.
So, John, I never heard anything like this before. Do you think somebody stole the money?
Well, maybe legally. I mean, look, to me, you remember the movie Mad Max when everybody's just doing whatever they wanted, the end of the world? That's what happened here. All of a sudden, everybody's got the keys to the candy store. Ad buyers, talent, consultants. There's 100 days to do it. And the money started pouring in. Remember this, Chris. It wasn't pouring in for Harris. It was pouring in against Trump. Everybody that was voting and supporting Harris was really voting against Trump. And everybody that was voting for Trump was voting for Trump. So she had all this money coming in. She had all these consultants. And if you don't run the ads, you don't get paid for the buy. They were running ads in Florida, where I live, nonstop. And I'm like, why? I mean, are they running them in Alabama and Idaho too? And I'll tell you why. If you don't run the ads, the buyer doesn't get paid. A $900,000 to put her face on the Sphere in Las Vegas. In the Sphere, the ego, the crazy, the commissions. I was at the White House for a dinner Friday night, talking to a lot of people, and I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of whispering. There's a lot of names about who got paid this and who got paid that. And a lot of people got rich on the back of donors trying to stop Trump. And I think this disqualifies her forever. If you can't run a campaign, you can't run America. And that would be the argument just day one. So it was terrible. I think she did a good job in the debate. I think she did as good a job as she could hope for in a short period of time. I told everybody, she should not have been the nominee. She was not going to win, and she didn't win, and she lost badly. So she's got to go figure out her life. She's in Hawaii. Tim Walz was at the dinner. She was in Hawaii. So she's having a call with donors this week. They tell me about her political future. I don't think she has a political future. So that's my thought on her.
How bad is this for the party going forward?
It's terrible because when you don't trust, it's like Andrew Gillum down here in Florida. He lost by just a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the money was, to DeSantis, just a little bit. But the money was so squandered and kept that, and he was going to take all that money he kept and rebuild the party. The Republicans got 1 million more voters now. What happened in Florida is with Gillum is going to the same thing is going to follow Harris for the rest of her career. She cannot be trusted with the money.
So, and I don't blame Harris. I do agree she was incompetent, and she's has no clue what she's doing. She's clearly a Peter principal, DEI hire, absolutely incompetent. She's never won an election that wasn't a ham salad election. She had no business being the vice president. She certainly had no business being the nominee. But I don't blame Harris per se. She's just an empty suit. She's an idiot. She's a fool. The people around that spent this kind of money, are they going to demand accountability? Well, I mean, it's been now what 5-6 weeks since the election. Sure doesn't seem like they're demanding accountability out of the Democrats. I mean, Harris being delusional that that she is she was actually something, but this guy just called out exactly what it is. She was a seat filler. She was an empty suit. She basically got votes because people voted against Trump. They weren't voting for her. Beto O'Rourke syndrome is what this woman thinks. Now she thinks she's going to go back and win some big election, come back and be the nominee again. She'll never be the nominee again. She may go back to California and win some things there because any Democrat will win in California. You could be the worst Democrat on the planet. It doesn't matter as long as you have like you're going to win because that's just how that state operates, particularly in statewide races. So she can go back to those ham salad places and win. She may be able to do something else politically, but I talked about that in another video. But she will never be the Democratic nominee for president again. She should have never been the nominee this time. Not that it would have mattered. Democrats were going to lose this race anyway. There was no path to 270 for any of them. But this was a huge con. This was a huge con that made people millionaires. Like this guy just stated, they basically took the money and quote unquote, spent it by giving it to their buddies and their friends, right? Why was there huge ad buys in Florida? Florida was not in play. Never in play. Why were the huge ad buys? Because if you don't buy the ads, you don't get your cut. You don't get your commission. The buyer doesn't get his commission for booking the deal. So what they do, they booked billions of millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. Kamala Harris spent more on advertising total than the entire Trump campaign raised. They spent almost $1 million per face on the sphere. What was that about? What was that about? You know what that was about? That was about putting money in people's pockets. That was about kickbacks. That's about corruption. That's what the Democrats are. They're corrupt, self-serving people, and they try to convince you they're not. Now, it's not just the Democrats. It's the established political class as a whole. The Democrats certainly are living it 100% here. So the great Kamala Con made a lot of multimillionaires and got the Democratic Party nothing. So congratulations, Democrats. You finally got what you deserved. All right, everybody. Have a great day. I'm out.